How often do you feel like you're just holding it all together? You're trying to hold it all together for everyone else. You show up, you keep your promises, you check off your daily list, your tasks, and somewhere along the way, the responsibilities start feeling like a prison sentence. Well, what if we've actually misunderstood what responsibility really is? What if it's not a burden to bear, but actually a devotion to offer? That one little look at it changes everything. You know, responsibility is that feeling of I have to. Devotion says I get to. And responsibility drains us. It's rooted in this feeling of obligation. But devotion, it just uplifts us because it's rooted in love. So when you show up with devotion, with love, not from duty or obligation, you actually reconnect with purpose. And instead of running dry, you give from a deep well that's within, that's this well of ability to contribute and serve and love. So I like to think that another way to reframe responsibility is to think of it as our ability to respond. And that is really where our power lies. We get to choose how we show up and how we share our gifts. And then tasks that used to feel heavy become sacred. They actually even become holy. So here are 3 keys to make that huge shift from burden to devotion. It's really life-changing. Now, if you don't know me, I'm Marci Shimoff. I'm the author of Happy for No Reason and Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul, and I'm a featured teacher in the movie The Secret. The first shift is to move from obligation to offering. So instead of asking yourself first thing in the morning, what do I have to do today? Instead, start your day by asking 3 different questions. These are questions that are from A Course in Miracles, and I love these questions. They are, what would Spirit have me do today? Where would Spirit have me go today? And what would Spirit have me say and to whom? And then open to whatever answers you receive. Whatever you receive, that is the offering that you give to life during the day. You don't have to just do it at the beginning of the day. You could do right now. What would Spirit have me say right now? What would Spirit have me do right now? Where would Spirit have me go right now? So you can ask those at any time. And when you connect in with these questions, for me, they soften my heart. They center my energy. They remind me why I'm here doing what I'm doing. I'm not just to perform a role. I'm actually making an offering of my time, my energy, my care, and my presence. So this really has been one of the greatest gifts of my life, and that was to be in devotion. One of the biggest times that this came up for me was when my parents were aging. So my parents were in their 80s, and I moved back to Northern California where I had grown up. I was about an hour from them, and I was the closest sibling here. My brother and my sister were farther away. So it became more on me to take care of my parents. And in the beginning, it was like, oh, really? I've got to drive an hour to take my mom to a doctor's appointment, or an hour to take my dad to the DMV. And after a while, I realized this was not an obligation. This was really my opportunity to be with my parents in their latter years, but also to give back to them for all the beautiful ways in which they took remarkable care of me. And so I was actually turned into feeling fortunate and delighted that I was the primary person that was there, able to take them to their appointments and to check on them. So instead of feeling like this responsibility, and instead of feeling resentful for doing it, I felt like, wow, I was so lucky. I did my best to bring joy to their lives, but they also brought so much joy to me. I remember one of the things that I would do with them is I would take them to see, they belonged to a speaker series, and they would go see these amazing speakers. And so I would be the one to take them, and I got hooked. They've been gone for 15 years now, my parents. And I still go to the speaker series, the one that's closer to my home now. And, I was able to shower a lot of my holistic health knowledge with them. And they loved it. They were totally all in. They loved that I knew about what would be good foods for them or what could be alternatives to certain medications. And I would go on long walks with my mom. And it was really a joy. So now I had to be careful because I did it wisely in the right amount of time. So I didn't end up feeling resentful, but whatever I did, I just did it from a feeling of service, and it changed everything. So that's the first shift, to move from obligation to offering. What is it that I'm able to offer? Now, the second shift is to anchor into your purpose, not pressure. Pressure is that feeling of get it all done, get it all done. Purpose asks instead the question, what do I need to do most? So purpose is about staying clear about what it is that's most important. It's not about the to-do list. It's about the alignment. Yeah, I know it's so easy to get busy doing a lot of things. I think we have an addiction to doing, but if you aren't doing the right things, what's the point? It's not going to serve you. You'll put in all this effort. You've climbed a mountain, but you've climbed the wrong mountain. You want to make sure that you are climbing the mountain that's the right mountain for you. So ask yourself, what's going to serve me the most in living in accordance with my priorities? And we all have different priorities at different times in our lives. There is a time for every season under heaven. So know what is the time for you to do now, and not what it was the time for you to do yesterday or 10 years ago. Connect in with what's going on now, and you start to connect in with your purpose and disconnect from the pressure. So I remember years ago when I was writing my books for 5 or 6 months, I had to let Sergio know, my husband Sergio, know that I wasn't going to be as available in our relationship, and he knew. But it was a time that my attention was going to go to this offering called my book. And when that ended, it was time for Sergio and for me to really focus on our relationship. So when the book was done, we made it more of a priority to really refocus on our relationship. We would have more regular meals together, or we went on some trips and things like that. So it's just a matter of what's your priority right now in your life. You don't have to do more in order to be more. It is the quality of your presence that far outweighs the quantity of what it is you're outputting. And so what I found is that when I connect in with my why, my deepest reason for showing up to what it is that's in front of me, then my to-do list really becomes a devotion list instead. And then the third shift is to let leadership become a living prayer. I don't know whether you've ever thought of yourself as a leader before. You do not need to have a specific title or be standing on a stage in order to lead. You lead in your life. You lead in how you live. You lead in how you love. You lead in how you listen to others, how you hold space. So we're always all leading. And when you share your gifts in the world from this place of devotion that we've been speaking about, rather than from a place of burden, you become a leader in your own life. And then that expands to every person that you touch. Every interaction becomes meaningful. I remember some of the most phenomenal interactions I've had were with people not who had huge roles as leaders, but were people who are really present, and I knew were leading their life in a way that felt meaningful to them. So true leadership is also sacred. It's an act of service. And when you recognize that you are leading in life, you are a leader, you start to embody, I think, more of your deep inner power and really more love, whether you're using that with parenting or partnering or mentoring or working. You are offering your love and your light into the world. And that is purpose in motion. That's not a burden. It's purpose in motion. So this week, I invite you to choose one thing that you have been carrying as a burden and ask instead, how can I hold this with love instead of with pressure? I'd love to know in the comments, where in your life are you ready to trade in your burdens for devotion? You are not here to carry it all. You are here to live on purpose. And when you lead from love, even the daily ordinary becomes sacred. So I'm sending you so much love in all of this.